of history's embrace. Captain's quarters sets the pace with Captain Mayhem at the helm. A voyage of knowledge, a story to round. Captain's quarters weekly delight, where history's treasures take flight. Led by Mayhem, Longwood, and Joe, they explore the past, row by row. Navigator Longwood charts the course, guiding listeners to knowledge's source. Cartographer Joe, with maps in hand, unveils the...
Hey, Captain's Quarters Podcast coming at you from St. Augustine, Florida. And look at that. I have a full crew tonight. Mandy Joe, there you are in Utah. Hello. And Davey Longwood here in St. Augustine with me. Not in the same area, but just a bit away. Good to have everyone here. I see people are starting to sign in now. A quick cheer to each and every one of you. Oh, very good, very good. Well, it is July, and it is the last show of July. And how do we find our show, Davey? That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Use that QR code. Captain's Quarters Podcast on YouTube. Use the QR code. You can find us, then you can like us, follow us, and subscribe to us. We want you to be a part of the crew. We also want you to be a part of our crew through membership. And we have membership on YouTube, and we have membership on Patreon. And we're going to talk about something we did last week in just a little bit, our first members only show. But you can only be a part of that if you are a member. That's a hint, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Always like to start off with a little bit of humor. Smile, Mandy. I'm going to get to spend 3 days with Mandy and her man and her daughter coming up this week. We're going to talk about that too. I'm looking forward to it. Are you?
You get me on Thursday, so we don't get them till Friday.
All right. Just me and you on Thursday.
Yep.
Well, I will be. What time are you getting in there on Thursday?
I think I land at like 6 or 7 a.m.
Oh, you're going to be there all day.
Well, I thought that I could go pick up the badges early and was like, if I get in early, it'll be done. We'll be great. It'll be handled. No chaos. Because I know what happens here in Salt Lake when you do the badge pickups. Then they sent me an email. Now they're not even letting me pick up the badges until like 3 o'clock.
Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm like, lame. That's going to be chaos. So at least it'll give me a chance to settle in and figure out the flooring so I can figure out where we need to go and how to do it. So. All
right. Well, I will be getting in at about 8 o'clock, maybe a little
PM?
Earlier. What's
or
that?
AM? PM or AM?
No, PM. Unless I change my mind, I have some tours I'm supposed to do at the museum, but I'm starting to lean towards trying to see if I can get those tours taken by somebody else. And that way I can leave a little earlier, get it there a little earlier. So I'll let you know. I'll make a decision tonight and figure it out. I got to get somebody to cover those tours, though, if they can. So on that note, is Mini Mayhem in the wings?
Oh, he's waiting.
Let's have Mini Mayhem tell us the joke of the week.
Ahoy, mates. Mini Mayhem here with Joke of the Week. Sponsored by our cartoonist friend, Travis Romy of Salt City Comics. Why did the pirate take a shower? Think about it, and I'll give you the answer at the end of the show.
Why did the pirate take a shower? I see a new name in there, or did it just change the name? History with Mr. McRae. I'm guessing that's my son.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Changed his name.
Unless somebody's,
either that or I've got another offspring. Don't know about that. All right. So we've had the joke of the week, and we will have a reveal towards the end of the show. But we want to do This Week in Nautical History, sponsored by our good friends at Ancient City Sirens. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to eventually do a good commercial with them. But for now, let me tell you, if you need dancing girls, belly dancing, fusion, country, you name it, they can do it all. They are great entertainers under the command of Miss Gina Marie, Ancient City Sirens. Take it away, Davey.
We begin This Week in Nautical History on July 28th, 1914. First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, orders British Grand Fleet to Scapa Flow. July 29th, 1588, the invincible Spanish Armada is sighted approaching England. Several skirmishes follow, forcing the invading fleet to make a long and costly retreat around Scotland and Ireland. July 30th, 1775, Captain James Cook, with HMS Resolution, safely returns to England at the end of his second voyage. July 31st, 1970, Black Pot Day, the last day of the officially sanctioned rum ration in the Royal Navy, which started in 1740. August 1st, 1498, Christopher Columbus lands in South America for the first time, near the mouth of the Orinoco River in modern-day Venezuela. August 2nd, 1943, Lieutenant John F. Kennedy's PT Boat 109 sinks at Solomon Islands. And finally, on August 3rd, 1492, Christopher Columbus, with Juan de la Casa as second in command, set sail on his first voyage with 3 ships, Santa Maria, Pinta, and Nina, from Palos de la Fuenteria, Spain, for the Indies. And that was this week in nautical history.
Aye, and to our ladies at Ancient City Sirens, we thank you for sponsoring that. It's now time for Quote of the Week, which is always very important. Davey, who do we have? And oh yes, let's say who it's sponsored by. Spyglass Travel. You want a great tour around the museum, around the city of St. Augustine? My friends at Spyglass Travel will give you a great walking tour, ladies and gentlemen. That means you're going to get a good cardio at the same time. Let's see. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. You know, Davey, for some reason, I saw that quote just the other day when I was working on some ideas for my Shot Across the Bow. That quote came up on some subject matters that I was thinking. So we must be thinking alike now. Good one. I like that one. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. And it is absolutely right. Very good, Davey. Mark Twain. I think we use Mark Twain more than anybody else, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got some good quotes, though.
He does have some good quotes, some really good quotes. Love Mark Twain's quotes. Thank you, Nightingale. We appreciate that. I see Miss Kara is on board with us. And Nightingale there. And let's see who else is on board. I see Ransom over in Panama City Beach. I see Zachary Harker and Blackball also. Very good. All right. So let's see. 8 bells. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got quite a few 8 bells because we didn't do anything last week. So we're going to try to catch up a little bit. And I'm going to stand up so I can get a little closer to the screen and read them, I think. Let's see. Davey, put them up there however you like. So let's start with the most recent ones, ladies and gentlemen. Malcolm Jamal Warner. He was 54 years old, was an American actor, musician, and poet. He rose to prominence for his role as Theodore Huxtable on the NBC sitcom The Cosby Show, 1984 to 1992. That was a major hit. How about Charles Oggins, 81, an American actor, dancer, and choreographer in stage and film, best known to television audiences for playing Queeg 500 in the Red Dwarf episode Queeg. And Terry Jean Bollea, or Bollea, depending on how you want to pronounce it, better known for his ring name, Hulk Hogan, an American professional wrestler. He was best known for his work with WWE and World Championship Wrestling. He was just in St. Augustine about 2 months ago, too, by the way, believe it or not. What else do we have, Davey? Charles Frank Maggioni, an American flugelhorn player, trumpeter, and composer. If you haven't heard any of the jazz of Chuck Maggioni, you're living under a rock. And this one here, you can't be living under a rock on this one. John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, an English singer, songwriter, and media personality. He rose to prominence during the 70s as the lead vocalist of the heavy metal band Black Sabbath, during which period he adopted the nickname Prince of Darkness. I will all be missing Ozzy Osbourne. Here are some others that are in the past time frame. Tom Troop, 97, an American actor. Here, Kelly's Heroes, My Own Private Idaho, and Devil's Brigade. Jeff Bittiger, an American baseball player. Chicago White Sox, Philadelphia Phillies, and Minnesota Twins. He was 63. Connie Francis, I remember this one from about a week ago also. American pop singer. She was 87 years old. Everybody's Somebody's Fool. Pretty Little Baby. My Heart Has a Mind of Its Own. Eileen Fulton, 91, American actress. As the World Turns, Nero Wolfe, Our Private World, and Rex White, 94, American Hall of Fame racing driver, NASCAR Cup Series champion, 1960. That's quite a bit, Davey.
Well, that's 2 weeks worth.
2 weeks worth, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, 2 weeks, but we raise our glass. Raise your glass, ladies and gentlemen, and we give a toast to all those that have passed, their family, their friends, and their fans. We honor them very well. 8 bells, Davey. All right, I see a new name in our in our gallery. Hello, Blackheart Ann. Glad to have you aboard. Thank you very much for watching. And I see somebody in our midst is trying to cause trouble. You sure that was Mark Twain? Could have sworn Samuel Langhorne Clemens said that. Who knows? I'll let you figure it out on your own. Let's see. We go into This Week in History, sponsored by our good friends at Dick's Wings. I don't have to talk to them about them a lot. Me and the minion here are just going to watch This Week in History, sponsored by Dick's Wings. Take it away, Davey. Where does the captain take his hungry crew for a good lunch special? Why, Dick's Wings. Daily lunch specials even a pirate could afford. Why, look, a table filled with flavors and tastes for even the most discriminating of pirates. A great lunch and a great time is always had by all at Dick's Wings, St. Augustine, Florida, US 1 South.
We begin This Week in History on July 28, 1943. U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt announces end of coffee rationing in U.S. July 29, 1928. Test footage is first created for Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie, featuring Mickey Mouse. July 30th, 1864. U.S. Civil War, Siege of St. Petersburg, Union General Ambrose Burnside fails an attack on Petersburg, Virginia in the Battle of the Crater. July 31st, 2018. Actor Alan Alda reveals he has had Parkinson's disease for 3 years in an interview with CBS This Morning, and discusses how physically acting out your dreams can be an early symptom. August 1st, 1946. U.S. President Harry Truman establishes Atomic Energy Commission. August 2nd, 1865. Lewis Carroll publishes the children's novel Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And finally, on August 3rd, 1981, 13,000 air traffic controllers begin their strike. U.S. President Ronald Reagan offers ultimatum to workers. If they do not report for work within 48 hours, they have forfeited their jobs and will be terminated. And that was This Week in History.
Very good, Davey. I remember that with Ronald Reagan. Sorry, I had a mouthful of pretzel there. Next is a shot across the bow, and I have a short one tonight. I hope that it will set well with many. Let's see if I can figure out where I put it. There it is right there. Ladies and gentlemen, a shot across the bow gives me a chance to share some thoughts on the way things could be, should be, or would love for everybody to be. So let's see what happens. Fix my voice. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been doing pirate since 2007 as a living, in fact. Back then, there were less than 20 pirates total in the entire county. That number has grown, and so are the number of crews in the area. It makes things confusing at times, and many pirates and even non-pirates do not understand we are not all one big happy family. Like any venue of enjoyment, Ren Fair, steampunk, Star Wars, magicians, clowns, tour guides, etc., etc., etc. There is a variety of interest and levels of individuals who insert themselves into whatever it is we are all part of and enjoy. A friend, and I will admit our friendship was quite tarnished in the end, always said this about all of us enjoying what we enjoy. We are adults playing dress up. The only problem with that is we are not always all adults. Issues always rise up. Sometimes it's the lack of communication. Sometimes it's the lack of professionalism. Sometimes common courtesy is just completely abandoned. I'm not going to use this platform to drag out issues tonight. That's not my purpose. I am going to ask people to consider a few things. My words tonight are primarily for the pirate community, but they can fit with any of the communities of the art and entertainment we are all finding ourselves a part of. Number one, even with the greatness of social media, I truly do not catch everything that is happening in the pirate community. If I miss your post, don't give you kudos for your post or your event, or don't even attend your event, perhaps it's because it wasn't brought directly to my attention. Let me know, please. The other side of the coin is this. If you want to advertise or gain publicity for your work or especially for your event, please send me a direct message. There is just way too much on social media with all the platforms to expect anyone can be all-knowing. No one can be all-knowing about what's going on. Just because you put it out there doesn't mean everybody sees it. I am happy to help get the word out, but don't expect. Ask me. Number three, I have come to realize many sites I like to push with the Captain's Quarters podcast information may not want to see my posts weekly on their pages. And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with being asked to space it out, maybe a few times a month at best. I also consider the content of each show. For example, maybe the show that we're going to do on a particular night as a local guest or a local happening that is not all pirate or is not of any concern to pirates in another city or another state or another country. I will consider not posting on those pages because what I like to say is I consider the audience. Also, I am lucky enough to be a pirate for a full-time living, as I mentioned. This means that my support for your event or cause may be a donation or for sure publicity via our podcast. Always open to using our podcast to help you out. Sometimes after 40 to 80 hours dressed as mayhem, I enjoy some quiet time too. And I may want to stay home, have a rum, smoke a cigar, and not put my gear back on. And let's remember the phrase, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Just say, respect, professionalism, courtesy. It is a two-way street. Please remember that. And that's my shot across the bow. Hopefully, not too ruffling of the feathers. Very good. And on the horizon, we did have a great show last week. Members only. I know Blackbeard was, or Blackball was there. Zachary Harker was there. Mayhem was there. We had a great show. Nightingale in Florida was there. We didn't have many on the show, but we had a great show. I enjoyed it. We talked for over an hour and a half, I believe, and it was a lot of fun. I hope that we can do more of them. We have scheduled about 3 or 4 more. And if they start to become really popular, we'd like to do even more. I just have to convince Davey that more is sometimes a good idea. But we will pick out some good themes for some of the new ones that we do. Last week was just an experiment, and it kind of worked out because, well, everybody that was on the show that night, they were pirates in their own area. So we got to talk about pirating. It was a lot of fun. So that's on the horizon. Our members only show. If you had a good time, let us know. Zachary, we appreciate it. Ransom, thank you for saying it was a good show. I see Captain Smoo from Quebec, Canada is on board. Ahoy there, mate. I'm going to have to learn French just to say hello to you. I don't know what it'll be, but oh well. Now, tonight we have a kind of a special guest. It was a last-minute thing, but I've been doing some things with this person. In fact, we've been friends for quite a while. So I think what we're going to do, Davy has a portion of something from one of the things she does, and then we're going to bring her on and talk to her for a bit. So Davy, why don't you put that clip up there? Let's do that, and let's bring Michelle in.
Good day to you, dear friends. I am Mercy Otis Warren, bringing you the latest news from our colonies for this 4th week of July, 1775. This week's report is brought to you in part by Revolution Rope Works. Need to secure your cannon? Hoist a Liberty flag? Look no further than Revolution Rope Works, the trusted choice of patriots from Boston to Savannah. Our ropes are spun with the strongest colonial hemp and twisted by hands that believe in freedom and good knots. Whether you're restraining a rowdy redcoat or hanging your laundry after a long day of protest, Revolution Rope Works, tying liberty together one knot at a time. This week we start far north, where forts at Ticonderoga and Crown Point are being strengthened. They're building new barracks, repairing walls, and improving powder magazines to help protect these critical locations on the northern frontier. These forts are very important in holding the line against British advances from Canada. Control of these forts means controlling the key waterways into New York, blocking enemy movements, and giving our forces a strategic advantage that could shape the entire campaign. In Massachusetts, coastal forts contribute 6- and 9-pounder cannons smuggled quietly to the Boston siege lines under cover of darkness. These additional guns strengthen our ability to keep the enemy pinned inside Boston and remind them that our resolve is as heavy as the iron we now aim at their walls. In Philadelphia, Congress has approved the creation of flying camps, rapid response militia units meant to move swiftly to trouble spots. These mobile forces are to be ready to strike wherever British threats appear, giving our defense a new and flexible edge. We'll be back after this message.
Looking for a man who can load a musket and write poetry by candlelight. The Continental Army Dayton Scrolls are here, featuring handsome blacksmiths, sassy spies, horse-owning heroes, each guaranteed to ghost you only if they're actually fighting tyranny. The Continental Army Dayton Scrolls, because love should be revolutionary.
That was so good. So let's bring in Michelle now. Bring her in. There she is. Look at her.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Fabulous. How are you? I'm hoping my internet from the 1700s holds up.
Well, it looks like it's holding up so far. Cheers to you and your new project.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm having a great time with it. You know, with the 250th anniversary of the country, I said, you know, I've been a broadcaster and radio for 33 years. Why not take that love and my love of history and let's combine the two of them. And so this is kind of what I came up with, and we're just kicking it off, but having a great time with it.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I think you're gearing it towards children.
Correct.
But it's worthy of anybody watching it. I've enjoyed a couple of the ones that I've seen of you that you've done. I think it's just a really, really cool idea. And I think that's one of the reasons I want to help you promote it and do what we can. And I'd like to, you know, figure out a way for us to maybe use you on our show on a regular basis. Take one of your clips, just send the clips to Davey, and we'll put a clip on once in a while. Or you can make some new ones. Or you can make some new ones, and we'll make sure that everybody knows the links and the website, because I think what you're doing is fantastic. It really is. So
So the newscasts I do for two different age groups. So the one I sent over, that's actually the grown-up one, but there is one that's geared toward younger kids as well, because a lot of the words when we're talking about the revolution, that in itself is a big enough word for them. So I have also a kids version of the newscast that's geared more toward third and fourth graders. But the idea is that there's an option for everybody. And I put other breakout stories on there, some in depth on certain things like how musket balls are made, different little side jaunts. And I said, it's kind of a neat way to do what we love, which is, we all love the history. I mean, I've been doing piracy for 20 something years. And we love the history, but now I can take that and expand it and use my broadcasting and kind of teach people a little more.
And we've started to do more talk than actual do, but we do some shorts. And Davey and I have created this entire list of shorts that we want to do. For example, you've been in the Colonial Quarter. You know where the Colonial Quarter is.
Oh, yeah.
There are 11 flags that have flown over St. Augustine in the history of St. Augustine. So we're going to do a small 1 to 2 minute short on each one of those flags.
I love that.
And we're shooting towards the grade school kids also. So we're doing that, and I just think that because your idea and what we're doing is such a mix, I see us as having a perfect opportunity to not just support but promote each other because of what we're doing.
I agree 100%. Besides, privateering was really big in the Revolution. That was pretty much how we started. Actually, it was how we started our Navy, was through privateering, which is just kind of, pirating with some paperwork. So it's very tied in together.
It is very much so. Privateering. If it wasn't for privateering, the outcome of the war could have been very, very, very different.
That's actually coming up in a couple weeks as I do the weekly news, because that's what these are. It's every week. It's what happened 250 years ago this week is what I'm doing every week. But the Navy starts not too far from now, a few weeks down the road. And that's exactly how it started. It was privateering was what started the Navy.
It was, absolutely. So everything you're doing is just such a cool thing. And Davey and I, we gave you had a commercial in that one. I just, every time I saw it, I laughed. A dating site for colonial soldiers.
Now, hang on. Do you recognize that voice?
I kind of do, but I can't put a face to it. Who was it?
That is Nasty Nate, Mark Miller from Rusty Cutlass.
Was it really Mark?
Yes, it was.
Wow, very good. Well, that's a good one then.
But there are pirates everywhere throughout this whole thing.
Of course there are, because all of us pirates just love to do this kind of stuff. So we've had Nasty Nate on the show before too. So it's a lot of fun. You and I have been friends for I don't know, 16 years. Yeah.
At least, maybe more. I've been doing this for 22, 23 years. So
I've been doing it for almost 20. I think the first time we ever got to really do something in the same venue was one of the events in Columbus, Georgia at the Nautical Museum up there. I think that was the first
Southern Pirate Festival. And I don't remember. My years. It was a while.
I can't tell you what year, but I would guess it was probably 2009.
Okay. That sounds about right.
But you've also done, and if I'm wrong, by all means, correct me. I've been corrected many times before. you also, back in the day, you did the trial of Anne Bonny also, didn't you?
I was Mary Read. I actually portrayed Mary Read for a number of years in multiple countries. So I've been Mary Read in Bahamas, Jamaica, and all up and down the eastern seaboard.
Very good. So you're well versed on Mary Read and Anne Bonny and their life and everything that happened. So that's just an offshoot of what you're doing now. But
right. So pirate-wise, and we'll have to do a show on this sometime, but pirate-wise, Mary Read is my big focus, and then the sinking of Port Royal, Jamaica. And I have one of the largest privately owned artifact collections from the sunken city.
Now, you can see on the screen History with Mr. McRae. That's my son. He's a history teacher in the school districts up in northern Alabama.
We need to talk.
So there's an idea that Davey and I have been kicking around that I think we're going to have to sit down and talk to you about, because we figured out a way that if we were to actually do what we think it would be worth it for. And you know how Florida is. Fourth graders in Florida start with Florida history as their American history.
Correct.
They don't really start their real American or what everybody says is real American history. We know it's Spanish in the 1500s, but real American history to everybody else is in the 1600s when the British come here. And that's when the Florida schools start. So Davey and I did voices for you for 2 other commercials.
You did. Yours is actually, I will tell you, yours is airing this week and his will be next week.
Ah, very good.
They're all coming out, and I will make sure to tag you in all of them so you can share them about.
Very good. You wouldn't have to have a clip of either one of them handy.
Not that I can play from this screen.
Okay, no worries. Then we'll just wait till next week and have some fun. So how many episodes do you think you're going to do?
I will be probably doing this for a minimum of 2 years. So, 52 weeks in a year. So just for the newscasts, we're looking at least 104 episodes because I want to get us I started on July 4th. I want to get us to the Declaration of Independence, but that was just the beginning. I mean, that's when things really, started heating up. I'm hoping next year to make my way up north and do some of the bigger battles and do reporting from the battlefields. I, in the past, have actually had the honor of being one of the ones that rose General Washington across the Delaware, and I'm going to try to do that again next year for the 250th as well. So a lot of things in the works, and a lot of footage that I can pull from those and put them into the casts.
Well, here's an idea for you. I kind of threw it at you in words the other day, but I'm going to add to it. We have to figure out, and you may already know it. I know the years, but the dates, because St. Augustine became British during the American Revolution.
Right. It was actually a prison. There were a lot of patriots imprisoned in St. Augustine.
That too, yes. And so my thought was, the thought was just very initial when I threw it at you that I'd be happy to step out of pirate clothing, maybe something a little more sedate, and be like a man on the street if you wanted. And one of those things would be, St. Augustine's now become British, right? And we'll work on the verbiage and how you want to do it. But there's you a man on the street or a reporter giving you a piece of St. Augustine history that fits in with everything you're doing. Because
I love the idea, and I'm already, so you'll be another person I'm reaching out to, but I was just speaking today to Benjamin Franklin. I've been speaking to some other people, historical characters or people in appropriate cities, that as things happen, because as I said, I'm doing the news by the week as it happens, but as things come up in the news stories in those cities, that I want to be able to go to people like that. So for a St. Augustine, the jail, one of those types of things, when that really kicks up or somebody important goes, I would love to have that man on the street. I'm starting to incorporate those things. This week, I have a gentleman in Massachusetts, part of the 2nd Massachusetts, showing his new uniform, because it's the week the uniforms were decided upon for the 1st Continental Army, which was the hunting shirts. And so I have a gentleman showing his off, showing how it fits, how it works for morale. So I want to add all of those things to this. So as I get further ahead, I will be reaching out to people in appropriate cities and locations that know how to do this. And I want to make it more like a full newscast where you go to the reporter, the man on the street.
Very good. Here's another, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you this one either. I think your knowledge of history far surpasses mine, but there is, there are several signers of the Declaration of Independence that I always jokingly tell this story that these signers of the Declaration of Independence signed the Declaration of Independence, and like any good group of people that's done a good job, what's the first thing they want to do? We're going to Disneyland. So what do these guys do? They come to St. Augustine, and it's British. And what do the British do? They throw them in jail.
Yep.
So and Rutledge was one of them. I can't remember the names of the others, but Rutledge was one of them.
Yeah, there was one from South. Yeah, I think a lot of the South Carolina delegation ended up in jail.
Yeah. So there's another one that if you figure out the dates and how you want to do it, Davey and I would be more than happy to do some things here in St. Augustine. I know I just volunteered, Davey, but we're more than happy to see what we can do to help, because I have already been bragging about your project to a lot of people. it's the newest and freshest idea I've seen of somebody to do, and you're the perfect person to do it because, as you said, you have radio background. So let's talk about that real quick. You have done radio in our time, in our friendship. You've done radio in at least 4 or 5 different cities.
I have been in radio since I graduated high school. So I started broadcasting 33 years ago. Do your math, you'll figure out how old I am. And I'm okay with that. I started in Melbourne, Florida. I worked in Orlando for a number of years. I've worked in New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. And I still do freelance work for Washington, D.C.
Any particular radio stations you are allowed to say?
Well, yeah, right now I do freelance work for WTOP out of Washington, D.C. I don't look like this, but I'm hiding behind a microphone anyway. I would, if they let me, I would totally go. Anyway, so before that, I was at WFLA and the Florida News Network in Orlando, and a number of stations down in Melbourne, which are WMMB and Light Rock, and some of the stations aren't there anymore, but that tells you how long I've been in the business. Some of them are gone, but anyway.
So I've got 2 things that popped up on the screen. Nightingale wants to know if you're familiar with Townsend's YouTube videos.
Yes, they're phenomenal.
I'm going to have to go on and read that. Is that the same? Okay. Is that the same?
If you have not, this is J.S. Townsend. If you have not seen his videos, phenomenal on the life and times and details of anything from weaponry to day-to-day. Phenomenal resource, amazing resource.
Well, very good, very good. And then Ransom Mayhem, that's my brother. You remember him? Mm-hmm. He says that you and him both were dragged down the hill in shackles.
We were. Love you, Ransom. Mwah. Yes, we were totally dragged down the hill in shackles together and then put in the stocks. That was Southern Pirate Festival. Yeah.
Yep, that was Southern Pirate Festival. So, and I see another name, a new name there. I see Jason Hellenberg on board.
Hey, Jason.
So say hello to him if you can't see what's going on.
I can't.
So this is just a great project, and I know I've said that, I don't know, at least 10 times, and just when you get my bill, I'll keep saying it. But it is really a great project. Do you have some ideas on specific? Are there some things that you're going to lean towards doing over some things that you may not do at all? Does that make sense?
I try to keep the newscasts pretty well-rounded. And what I mean by that is, usually when we're studying the history, we study just the military things that were happening. And that's great. It's good to know. But I also want to know what was happening in day-to-day life. How did life change for the other people? So every month I'm doing a segment that's called Young Revolutionaries that's literally just on what kids were doing. How was their life changing? What kind of work were they having to do? And little kids were doing work because that was the workforce at the time, and that was just the way things happened. I'm doing a side series on women of the revolution, also not mentioned very often. I'm doing one on Black revolutionaries, and I'm doing the loyalist perspective. So I'm going to start coming out with a monthly loyalist version because I don't know about you, but if you went to school in the States, you don't get a lot from the loyalist side.
No, you don't.
So I thought my first experience with that was when I was portraying Mary Read on Green Turtle Key in the Bahamas. And I went down for a festival there, and they had a loyalist garden. And it had the sculptures of all the original founders of that island that were all loyalists. And I said, this is a whole different way to look at history than anything we were ever taught. And I wanted that side to come out too. So those are all in the works.
Well, I've often, in fact, I just had this conversation with somebody this past weekend. He had taken my tour, and he came up to me and he said, history is written by the winners. And I said, that's not really true. And here's my example. And here's how I do it when somebody says that. I look at them and I say, so the American Revolution, you're familiar with that. Who won that? Who won that war? The soon-to-be known Americans. Who lost the war? The British. The British are still writing history.
This is true.
So the only time that as a historian, that I say that history is really written by the winners is when the victors pretty much decimate the losers, and they're not around anymore. Anyway,
True.
you know, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, you know, William the Conqueror, those kind of things. But in the relationship of the United States of America with Britain, after the War of 1812, it was finally decided that England and the United States would become allies and have been allies ever since. So there is a side, the loyalists, and a lot of the loyalists left the colonies. And where did they go? They went to the islands, where they came to Florida, because do you know that that Florida actually was divided and became the 14th and 15th colonies of England? Did you know that?
I did not know that one. You've got me on that one.
Okay, good. Finally. There's a historian here in St. Augustine that's written a book. I'll get you a copy of it. And he wrote the book, and it is that England took Florida. When the Brits took Florida, they divided it. And the dividing line is probably about from Cedar Key to Amelia Island, okay? That's the dividing line. So the top half of Florida became one colony, and the bottom half of Florida became the other colony.
Okay.
I'll see if I may have a copy of the book, but if I do have it, he's already autographed it for me, but I'll get you a copy. It might be, this is leading me into my next question, okay?
Okay.
What are you doing, or how are you doing all your research for this?
Oof. Okay. So part of it, I'm using the wonders of our world today. So to find out what's happening weekly, I'm starting by using AI and making it compile lists and lists of things. Then I go from that list and I decide what I want to delve into. But either that, or I'm going to have 500 books in front of me. Yeah. So I'm letting it do the initial breakdown, if you will, of here are it literally gives me hundreds of options every week. And then I go and pick through the stories that I want and verify the sources and the dates, and I can build it from there. But that's, otherwise I would need a team of about 15 people to do this job. So
okay, so I'm still reluctant on the AI side of everything.
I don't let it do all the writing and trust it. I don't trust it. I let it start the process.
So whatever input you put into AI, and then it gives you this list.
Correct.
And for my simple brain, let me put it in the way I'm thinking. So you put in something specific, a specific subject, and then it gives you dates, times, and locations of things that might be true. Is that the way it works?
No, I give it the week. So like this, the week of what the heck is this week? The 27th, the week of the 27th of July. And I will say, I want to know, what kind of, what stories were, what was happening during the American Revolution in 1775 this week. And it will only give you so many answers. It won't give you everything. So you have to spend some time going, okay, keep going. Give me some more, give me some more, give me some more. And eventually it does, it's not as quick as you'd like it to be, but you do compile a long list. I don't want to take just that first list because I don't want to miss something that's a unique story that I might miss because it's not a big story. And so I spend a lot of time having it keep coming out with new ideas. Then I go and look up each of those ideas. I make it give me the site. Where'd you get it from? Is it from the Library of Congress? Where did you get this information? Then I go follow the research and make sure the research is valid. Because I've had it make up things before and I said, I don't think that's true. And I look it up, it's not. So I do make sure the research is valid.
That's my fear of AI. And my fear of AI is twofold. One, is everything, especially for us that do history, is everything it's given us, is it true and accurate? That's my first point. My second point is this, or my second fear is this: there are far too many people, and it's obvious just because of the way the news cycles work in our country right now. There are far too many people that'll take it at face value and it's true, and that's troubling to me because we already have that problem in this country now with many of the things that are happening in our world now, political or otherwise. People they see something and it's gospel. And a lot of people believe that AI is gospel. And I just,
it is not.
I am not. Davey and I have played with it a little bit. In fact, Davey did some work, and the theme song we do, that was AI created, right, Davey?
Yes.
That was AI created, and it's a great song, and it so AI has its place, but I really get fearful that too many people will take AI at face value. It's good to hear that you're doing some extra research behind everything to find out.
Well, I think it's on, especially those of us that are presenting something we pull from AI and presenting it as an expert, if you will. I mean, as soon as I get this whole outfit on and I'm doing these newscasts, I'm now expected to know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And it would be very irresponsible for me not to look things up. And I think that's on all of us that are presenting things online. We need to take that extra step and be responsible for the information we're putting out versus saying, well, AI got it wrong. No, it's on you. For me, and this goes back to broadcasting though, that's my voice that's going behind those words. I want it to be right.
Absolutely. When in some of my tours, I do explain to people that the understanding and knowledge of human nature and the understanding and knowledge of common sense can actually help you decipher whether or not certain things, and I'm sure in AI, it's very important. Somebody can tell you something, but if you have a gut feeling that, I don't think that actually, common sense tells me that's not really true, then you question it, and that's the first step to making sure that whatever it is you're finding out, you're learning, or you're reading, it's the first step to making sure that it is accurate.
Correct.
And it's important, and we have to be that way as historians also, because there are so many others out there that will just open their mouth and anything will come out.
I think it's a phenomenal resource, but it needs to be used responsibly and wisely.
I would agree with you there. I totally do. I agree with you there. Blackball says that technology is a good tool in moderation, but can also be detrimental when used in excess. I believe that. I also, there's one other thing I know we've gone away from what you're doing and we're talking about AI, which means that I want to really bring you back and have an entire show with you.
Okay. We'll hang out, no problem.
And we actually talked about it, and we'll probably do it in September. And maybe right around, well, I'll look at some dates and we'll do it in September. But the other thing I don't like about AI, and you've already said things that tell me the words are yours. You're writing your script. You're doing your thing. A lot of people will take I know somebody that used AI to create a speech that they needed to give. They used the speech word for word. I guess what I'm getting at is this. That's not bad. I'm not saying that was bad. What I'm saying is that if we're not careful, AI will take creativity away from human beings.
It will. I mean, I will say for like the commercials you did, I will let it do a lot of those bits and pieces. I never like the full take that it does. So I'll make it do 4 versions of the same commercial. I'll pull bits and pieces out I like, but I have that same concern. It's, I've been a writer for a long time, and if I let it write, it will do a great job. Don't get me wrong. I will let it sometimes just to see what it does. It will do a phenomenal job. But if we don't exercise that ability, we'll lose it. It's like anything else.
Well, here's a perfect example. When I was younger, I could remember phone numbers. Now I can't remember a phone number to save my life because of this technology right here.
See, I still try to commit a certain number of them to memory.
I'm getting older now, so it's harder.
Yep.
So, well, great. I just wanted to get you on for a tidbit to get everybody interested in what you're doing. I think we should do a show where you'll come on the show and then we'll close the show, but only members will get to come on and we'll talk about some. And by then you'll have several clips. We can use all kinds of extra clips and do whatever you want and have a good time. And we'll do that. So
let's do it.
I thank you I know this was very last minute, and I know you're busy because you said you were going to do a whole lot of videoing today. And Mondays is usually busy for me. Sunday and Monday for Davey is pretty busy because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have some of the things that we have here. He does all the clips and everything else. And then Mandy, out in Utah, if it wasn't for Mandy, we wouldn't have all this stuff getting put out there in the world the way. That's why she's a photographer. So, and she'll be here in her and I, we're going to Tampa Comic Con on this weekend.
Nice.
Tampa, we'll be there. We're going to get to hopefully at least see, but I'm trying to work it out that I at least get to say a few words to Carrie Elways.
You'll be
That
able
would
to.
be nice. That would
Yes.
be cool.
That would be, in fact, I've already planned on what I might say to him when I'm going to ask him if he's in the mood to be recruited to a new pirate crew. I need some
Yes,
extra
please.
pirates.
Yes, please. We would like him to join. Yes, please.
We'd like him to join. I could use a man with good sword to be a part of my crew. I'll make you my right hand man, and I'll give you an extra share of the take. So
Oh, perfect.
we'll have it. But I'm glad you were able to come on for tonight. I know you have some other things you need to be going and taking care of for your videoing, and good luck for it. It's a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
I think there's a whole lot of things that we might have to start working on. I'm going to have to send a message to good old Nasty Nate and say, hey, I liked your commercial. You need any other things like that, you let Davey and I know. Even if you need some visual photographs or whatever for St. Augustine.
Okay, will do.
No, and we'll get out there and figure out what to do and get it for you, and we'll go from there. Okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Everybody say goodbye to Michelle. And
Goodbye, everyone.
Real quick. All right, goodbye there, love. All right.
Bye-bye.
So, Davey, did you happen to get any pictures of our social time last night? Did anybody send you anything? Oh, me sitting at the bar. Go figure. There are some good pictures. There were about 14 of us that met at Mojo's. I forgot how much as much as I love the food at Mojo's, I forgot how much I don't like the atmosphere. The noise in there is just overpowering. I walked out of there with a headache. But we had a grand crew, and we had a good time, everybody there. And then we went down and walked a bit, and then we went into Barley's for a little bit and had a couple of drinks. And we bought a round of picklebacks for everybody because it was Rachel's birthday. So we all did a shot of pickleback with her for her birthday, and we had a really, really good time. I see Black Ann has taken off, presenting the past. I don't know who that one is. There's another one. Or was that might be Michelle?
That's Michelle, I think.
Okay, that's Michelle. Very good. Yay. So, very good. Davey, I think it's time for us to do the reveal of the week with Mini Mayhem.
Oops.
It ran away.
It did run away. Come on, Minnie. Come on. There he is.
Okay, it's time for the answer to the joke of the week. Why did the pirate take a shower? The answer is because he was a little salty. I see that Maggie Jo got the joke by her smile.
You got to quit. Oh, look. What in the world is that furry thing?
A vicious cat that's now attacking me because my daughter handed her to me.
Hey, and I.
She can't hear you, but you want to wave and say hi?
Good to see her.
Yep, she'll be with us on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
Very good. Well, she's a professional at these cons, so she'll have to give me instructions. I don't want to look like a starry-eyed rube.
she's met a few celebrities. So
What's that?
she's met a couple celebrities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be some good ones. Lou Ferrigno, David Harbour is going to be there.
So David Harbour, I think, will be hard to get. Lou Ferrigno, I'd have to go look
Well,
up his
you know-
history in Tampa, but he's easy here in Salt Lake. You could go have like 20-minute conversations with him with no
You know
questions
how much
asked.
David Harbour's autographs are?
No, but I'm sure it's a lot because of
180.
yeah, it's because of what he's been doing.
He's been doing some great things. So yeah,
Marvel.
180. If I've got to see if I can find the pictures of Ancient City Con when all the kids were from Stranger Things or in our booth, Davey.
Yeah.
And put one of them or two of them on my phone, and if I get a chance to say hello to him, I might show him that we've already talked to some of his other co-stars or whatever. So Lou Diamond Phillips is going to be there. Henry Winkler is going to be there. I'm probably going to go ahead and I'll probably do it between tonight and tomorrow night. Mandy, should I go ahead and buy them in advance or wait until Friday morning?
If you can get them in advance, I would, but you might need to wait till Friday morning if you need those passcodes that I'm not getting until Thursday.
That's what I thought too. So that might be the first thing. When is Bo and Anaria showing up, or when are they coming in?
Friday morning. So they
What
fly out
time?
Thursday night. So
Okay.
like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll make some plans. I'm backing towards leaving earlier so I can get there a little earlier, so I'm not driving at certain times. And I'll let you know what those plans are. And you know where I'm staying, so that's good. You guys got a bed and breakfast, right?
I got an Airbnb not terribly far that's walking distance, but I'll probably, once I get set up in the Airbnb, I'll just be wandering the convention area to go try to get a gauge out of what we're dealing with.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'm going to put together those red bags with some coins in them. And I also have a new pirate shoulder leather bag that I can carry things in that'll go with my outfit.
Nice.
All right,
Nice.
cool. Hey, Davey, you think we should? I wish you could go with us, Davey. You'll get Ancient City Con under your belt, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Just catching up with some of the things. Captain Smoo is still on board, I see. Very good. I see another one that's on board. Al Lane. It's good to see you, Al Lane. Thanks for being a part of our show. Let me give a quick reminder. And it'll be in our thank you videos, but if you want to get involved in our members only shows, you'll want to go to Patreon, find Captain's Quarters Podcast, and get involved by being a member. The Captain's membership, I believe, is only $7 a month, but it'll get you in. And we're working on some ideas for some other things. Oh, by the way, the banners that I told you I was going to order, they came in today. So I've got the banners for Ancient City Con. And after the show, I got a question for you, Davey. For now, though, let's do our thank you video.
A Captain's Quarters podcast is always searching the world for history, knowledge, and adventure. It takes a crew to run a podcast, so we would like to take this opportunity to thank those who help keep the podcast going.
The crew: Captain William Mayhem, Navigator Davey Longwood, Cartographer Mandy Joe. Our charities we support: Agla's Acres, St. Augustine Humane Society, and Inc. Investing in Kids. The three major charities for support, but always room for more. You too can be part of the crew and support the show in many ways. Go to our Patreon. For a small monthly contribution, become a powder monkey, first mate, or captain sponsor. Go to YouTube and hit the like and subscribe buttons to join our ranks and support the show. It does take a crew. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, every night when the show ends, between the end of the show and usually midnight for the most part, our show downloads on several different platforms. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, and Spotify. If you just want to listen to us, there's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Stitcher, Twitter, Music, Amazon, iHeartRadio. So there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 platforms, ladies and gentlemen. There's no excuse you can't find us somewhere. We hope that you will keep up with us on a regular weekly basis and join our crew and be a part of the Patreon team. If you join via YouTube, Mandy keeps slipping in all kinds of little extra goodies that you can have, and you can put all kinds of things in there, little tidbits and fun to make your experience during the show even that much more fun for you and for us. And of course, it's time for our numbers. Very good. And as we reach the end of our show, we hope that you had a good time. We did go past our normal time frame by about 15 minutes, but talking with Michelle was well worth it, and bringing her on as a tease for a show that I think we will do sometime in September. So just as a reminder, also members get to be a part of the after show when we have guests on board. We'll still do our 45-minute show. The guests will be there, but then when we close the show at the 45-minute mark, we will turn around and open the show back up, and all of our members will be in the gallery, and they can be watching and be a part of the show. So there we have it. I think we've done a good show tonight. What do you think, Mr. Davey?
I think it was very good.
And Miss Mandy, how do you believe? Good?
Yeah, went well.
Right. Well, it's been a good show, and it is time for us to do what we normally do to say goodnight. Are you ready, Davey?
Yep. Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew.
Always. We can't do it without you. Well, we could, but it's just not as much fun. It's just the three of us. We like having friends with us. So tune in to us every week at 8 o'clock. Next Monday, we'll have some pictures and I hope some pretty good stories of our adventures. Mandy and Mayhem. Or is it Mayhem and Mandy? We'll leave it at Mandy and Mayhem. I like that. Mandy and Mayhem's adventures in Tampa, Florida at Comic-Con. I look forward to it, and we'll see what kind of stories we have. Until then, take us away, Davey. Take us out.
With wit and charm they made